Guys, what's up? Let's get right to it. Today we're going to be talking about universal laws, moral absolutes, and we'll touch on the uniformity of nature. Corey, this video is for you. Let's find some common ground first, though, because there's a lot of debates, there's a lot of disagreements, but let's find something that we can agree on. So, I'm going to say that law necessitates lawgiver, right? So what I'm saying is that if there are laws, then that requires that there was a lawgiver. So in society, when we live in this society, we have laws of the road, we have laws for taxes, we have laws for businesses, we have all these laws that govern our society. What we know, though, is that these laws didn't just pop out of thin air one day and just, exist one day for no reason. No, there was a group of people that came and purposed these laws. They gave them purpose. They gave intellectual thought to these laws, and they were promulgated on by a council of men and women, and then put into effect via the government and implemented with force. So there's laws in our society, and we have agreed that those laws got here by lawgivers. That's a job that you can get in society, is you can be a part of that group that creates and puts laws into effect. So law necessitates lawgiver. Now we're going to step up a little bit higher. We have things like the laws of logic. We have things like the laws of mathematics, the laws of physics, the laws of biology. These aren't just patterns that happen over and over again, and maybe one day 1 plus 1 won't equal 2. Maybe 1 plus 1 will equal fish. No, 1 plus 1 will always equal 2 because that's the mathematical pattern that it's tied into, and it'll never change because it's set in the universe as an abstract concept, and so it can't change because we can't change it. It's a reflection of the order of nature. And so the laws of mathematics is a reflection of the order of nature. And so it's not something that we created, right? We didn't create the laws of mathematics, because if we created the laws of mathematics, then we could destroy the laws of mathematics. No, we didn't create the laws of mathematics. We discovered the laws of mathematics. We discovered that 1 plus 1 equals 2 and 2 plus 2 equals 4, so on and so forth. We discovered the laws of physics. And if you know anything about physics, that is that the laws that they do discover are set in stone. The laws of thermodynamics, and such. And so you have all these universal laws that govern the entirety of our universe. But we already agreed that law necessitates lawgiver. So, if I have universal laws that govern the universe, then that would require a universal lawgiver, aka God. Now let's touch on moral absolutes. If God does not exist, then there's no repercussion of our actions, except for the ones we experience here on earth. And if that's true, then there is no moral absolutes. But the problem is, we know in our heart of hearts, just like 10 minus 5 is 5, we know in our heart of hearts that it's wrong to murder your grandma for no reason at all, in cold blood. It's wrong to murder her in China in 1530. It's wrong to murder her on Mars in 3058. It's wrong to murder her in San Antonio, Texas. It's wrong to murder her in France. No matter where you go in the universe, no matter where you go geographically, no matter where you go time-wise, it's always going to be wrong to murder your grandma. I'm sure there's other moral absolutes that we can think of. It's morally unacceptable to harm a child. No matter where you go in history, there's never a point in history where it's like, oh, it's okay to harm children now. People may have harmed children, but that doesn't mean it's right to harm children. Why is it not right to harm children? Because it comes back down to moral absolutes. Now, why are there moral absolutes? There are moral absolutes because these moral absolutes are a reflection of God's nature. And he has set that in his design so that we're aware of it, so that we know in our heart of hearts that it's wrong to murder, that it's wrong to look at lust, it's wrong to steal. We don't have to question it. We inherently know that it has negative consequences. I know that if I go out and murder some dude today randomly, I know that maybe 4,000 miles away, his aunt, who lives in 4,000 miles away, is going to feel the pain of that and cry. That's a real effect. And so I can naturally tell simply that action carries negative effects in the world I live in. And so we are fully aware of moral absolutes, and we know they exist. And that's why we strive to be good people, even if we want to say, well, I don't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, why would you bother to be a good person? Because it doesn't matter. Because without God, there's no moral absolutes. There's only the consequences that you receive here on earth, which may not be any. So do whatever you want, right? But you don't live that way because you know that's not the way. Because in our heart of hearts, you know that there's wrong and there's right. There's good and there's evil. And good and evil is a reflection of God's nature and the negation of his nature, right? So if God is love, then the negation of his nature would be hate. And that fills in the gap naturally. Because love is there, naturally the gap of it is hate. And so naturally, because the light is there, the light casts the shadow of the darkness. And so you can't just go around and say that there's no moral absolutes or there's no universal laws and then absolutely say that and then say that there is no absolutes. Because you're making an absolute statement while saying that nothing is absolute. That's a logical contradiction. You're not following your thought to its contradictive end. So laws aren't just merely something we observe happen over and over and over again. That's not what laws are. That's the weather. We observe weather patterns over and over and over again, and then we can predict weather patterns, and then we're sometimes wrong because those weather patterns fluctuate. The laws of logic do not fluctuate. The laws of mathematics do not fluctuate. They don't change because they're set in stone, right? If you go to a store and you buy something that's $10 and you give them a $20, you expect $10 back. Now, if you're true to what you're really saying, Corey, if you're truly saying that there is no absolutes or moral laws or universal laws, then the laws of mathematics doesn't exist. And if you bought something for $10 and you gave me a $20, I'm just going to keep your $20 because you don't believe in the laws of mathematics, because you think they're just made-up concepts. And if it's a made-up concept, then this $20 bill you just gave me is a made-up concept, and I'm just going to keep that $20 bill, and you're going to be out $10. But you're not really out $10 because the laws of mathematics doesn't. See, the way you think about the world doesn't comport with the world we actually live in. It's not compatible. Your worldview does not match the universe that we live in. When you go to the store and you buy something for $10 and you give them a $20, you expect $10 back because that is the set in stone laws of mathematics. There's never going to be a time where 20 minus 10 is not 10. There's never going to be a time where that's not the fact, right? Because there are things in this universe that are absolute. Now, if you're going to tell me, well, there's no such things as absolute, then you're making an absolute statement that there is no absolutes, which in the laws of logic, we call that a contradiction. And if you have made a contradiction, then what you're saying, by default, cannot be true. Because things that contradict themselves cannot be true. So, it's really easy to look out in this universe and begin to see that there is a uniformity of nature.